Join the mortgage expert Heath Barnes as he equips loan officers and real estate agents with innovative ideas and tools so you can adapt to the changing environments in the marketplace. Be inspired by stories from some of the top professionals in the mortgage world today as they reveal their secrets of what made them successful while gaining knowledge and insight about how they continue their success regardless of the market conditions. Find out how to build a team and scale your business. Get ready to be more productive while working fewer hours. Here is your host, Heath Barnes.
I'm excited about today's show. We have Roger Kube, who is the number 20 loan officer at Fairway Independent Mortgage Company. He is number one in customer satisfaction in 2021. You're going to love this podcast where he's going to talk about the 2 or 3 things that really set him apart, that made him number one. How to connect with your clients, how to keep the connection, how to do gifting, what kind of gifts he sends. So I think you're really going to love this show today. Welcome to another episode of Mortgages Reimagined. I'm your host, Heath Barnes, and I'm excited for our guest today. Our guest, Roger Kube, is an accomplished loan officer, 20 years in the business with a successful track record in providing outstanding customer service, which we'll talk about today. His highest priorities are his clients' best interests and exceeding their expectations, committed to helping clients understand what's happening every step of the way. He provides stress-free, seamless mortgage process with a plethora of knowledge, experience, offering a wider range of mortgage options for his clients, including competitive interest rates. He also enjoys surfing, among other things, that allow him to spend his free time enjoying life. Welcome to the show, Roger.
Hey, thanks so much, Heath. Appreciate you having me on the show today.
Yeah, in sunny San Diego, right?
Absolutely, love it.
Yeah, well, let's jump right in, Roger. For those that have never heard of you, you're in San Diego. You work for Fairway Independent, and I'd love to hear just a little backstory about how you got into the business after graduating from the University of Colorado in 2000.
Yeah, sounds great, Heath. Again, thank you so much for having me on today. So my backstory, let's see. So I graduated from the University of Colorado in 2000, as you mentioned, and I had applied to a number of law schools, took my LSATs, and my future was law school for sure. And so I got accepted to UCLA Law School, and I gave them about $1,000 to hold my admissions for a year as I got settled in California, and I made it to San Diego for what was going to be about a year. I was looking for a job, right? I just got out of college. Mm-hmm. I was broke. I had no money. I had, very limited belongings. I was living in Pacific Beach, San Diego, which is like post-college haven. It's great. And the party was continuing, but I called my 2 brothers up. I have 2 brothers who were 3 brothers in the industry, actually. And 2 brothers at the time worked for a company called, you probably heard of them, H&R Block.
Oh,
Mortgage.
yeah.
Yeah, right. So they
our good friend Blaine Stewart actually worked for them. That's how he got his start.
So Blaine Stewart got his start in one of my brother's offices, actually. At that time, my brother Andrew was managing a branch in Northern Virginia, and Blaine went to work for him.
Yeah. Okay.
And then my brother Ryan, who is now president of AnyMac Home Mortgage, he was working in the Northeast region for H&R Block Mortgage. And so I called one of them up. I can't remember which one now, but I called one of them up and I said, hey, I'm in San Diego, as you know. I'm looking for some work for the next year, just something to buy my time, make a little bit of money. You guys have a branch here? Maybe you could help me, get me an interview. And so sure enough, there was a branch here, and the branch manager, still know him today, great guy. His name's Bruno Gonzalez. And Bruno, okay. I called up Bruno, or actually didn't call him up. I think one of my brothers set up the interview, and I went in the office and I sat down, and Bruno, oh man, I was mid-20s at this point. I got a little delayed starting college, but nonetheless, yeah. Bruno, was sharply dressed, hair slicked back, Rolex watch. I mean, he was looking sharp, looking like he was made of money. Yeah. I sat down. I was a little nervous. I'm not that kind of guy to get too nervous. I was a little intimidated. And he looks at me and he says, so, your brothers Andrew and Ryan Kube? And I said, yes, sir. And he said, when can you start? And that was literally the interview process. Like
wow.
That was it, you know?
Yeah. That says a lot about your brothers, right?
It does. It does say a lot about my brothers. And they were both top producers in their own right within H&R Block Mortgage. And so they had a reputation, a good one, fortunately, for me. And so I literally started the next day. I literally went in and started the next day. And fortunately, it was a great start because H&R Block, as you know, has a big database of people.
Yeah, right.
So they're like, here you go. Here's our database of clients in San Diego. Go to it.
And it was refi action back then, right?
Refi action, right? Because rates were starting to fall, right?
It's the same time I got in the business.
Oh, is that the same time you got in?
All you had to do is take the 20-hour course, sign up, and you had your license. Much different than it is today.
Much different. But back then, I don't know about you, but back then I did a lot of house visits. I'd actually go to people's homes, present to them their application, pick up documentation.
Wow.
It was not uncommon for me to be fed when I went over. I even had a couple clients try to introduce me to their daughters. But it was some fun times. But nonetheless, I found some success right away with H&R Block. I started making six figures, double-digit monthly income. Like I was making 10, 12,000 right off the bat. I'm like, whoa, this is great, you know?
Like, I'm not going to law school.
I'm not going to law school. And I fell in love with San Diego too. San Diego is such a great place, offered such a high-quality lifestyle. And so I said, you know what, I'm just going to keep trucking along and see how this pans out. And here we are 21 years later.
Wow. Well, it sounded like you had an early start in really, having appreciation for your clients and taking really good care of your clients. Because if you walk into someone's house and you've got a mortgage application and they want to feed you, you're probably doing something right? So
that is right. That goes back up to, I'll give that back to my mom and my dad and making sure that I'm well-mannered and know how to act around people. It's a skill. It's a nice skill set to be able to adjust to any personality and hit it off and be friends, right? So
yeah, that's interesting you say that because the gift to actually have a conversation with other human beings, sometimes we don't get that from our parents. Did you get that from your parents? Like how to have a conversation?
I certainly did. Yeah, my dad was in medical sales all his life. Very successful. And, he was always the life of the party, always, loved to socialize with everybody. He's the kind of guy, if you're walking down the street, he's going to acknowledge your presence, even if he doesn't know you, even if it's just a nod. But yeah, so very, very social now. And my mom as well. So definitely, I think we get that gift from them.
Nice. Well, it sounds like that gift is carried on into your business. Like, I think last year, you worked for Fairway, and get this, he was the number one in customer satisfaction out of 3,800 loan officers. Man, my hat's off to you. That's not easy, especially in a market like that you're in. You're in a market where it's high level, high loan amounts, things like that. I'm curious, what are the one or two things that you could help listeners with, and especially in this market? Like we're in a really, things have changed. And you don't just pick up your phone and you've got a lead. You've got to take care of every single client. So I'd love to hear what are the one or two things that you're changing right now or doing right now that is helping you stay top of mind or providing that customer satisfaction.
Yeah, thank you. Wow, it is my favorite stat of my career. My volume last year was 20 in Fairway out of 3,800, and that definitely made me proud. But what made me more proud is that we finished number one in client satisfaction in the company. And that's equal pairing. We all Fairway sends out a same survey to every single client after every single loan. And so we're all in an even playing field. And my team, because of my team, as you know, Heath, it's all a team effort. I definitely did. I don't give the client that number one experience. It's we give that client that experience. And so it's something that we talk about on a regular basis. And we're very intentional about it. We're very intentional. I guess what it starts with really number one is really having the client's best interest first and foremost, right? And if you come at it from that perspective and not from a perspective of, oh, how much am I making on that deal? Or I mean, of course I know what I'm making on that deal, don't get me wrong. But I'm not focused on that, right? My focus is on really giving that client the best possible experience. And not just, and that comes from a variety of ways, right? But looking at their best interest first and foremost. So that starts it off. That's first and foremost. And then number two, really getting to know that client, right? And genuinely caring about that client, right? Because the more you get to know about somebody, the more similarities you find, and the more similarities you find, the more you empathize, the more you care about that person, right? So I'm sure with you too, but I have some lifelong friends that started off as clients or business partners who are also my clients, right? Yeah. So really getting to know them, and there's a couple tools. And one major tool that we use that's going to help me get to know them as quickly as possible, and that's our All About You form. And the All About You form finds out things about them, their family, their interests, their hobbies, their favorite this, their favorite that, the best way to contact them. I think that's important, right? Some people don't like to be called and left voicemail. Some people prefer it, right? And so identifying the best form of contact, and then also what other professionals they work with that are serving them at a high level. And if they don't have the other professionals that serve them at a high level, making sure that they're aware that I have them for them, and just really adding value to their life, right? That's really what I'm trying to do. Is I'm trying to add value. The more I get to know them, the more I can add value, in addition to providing them a mortgage and just giving them an experience that they're going to look back on and be like, wow, that was great. Or, wow, my friends should know about Roger. Right. Yeah. That's also part of it. And it's very intentional in creating that experience. And then that All About You form and making it a point that we get that back from every client is going to help us launch that wow experience.
Yeah, that's what I hear you saying, and listeners should hear this as well, is being intentional about being connected to your client. It's not just having a conversation, but you have a format. Like you have specific questions that you send to the client that's going to give you more information about them so you can connect with them, right?
Exactly. And then a lot of that information I'll even pull in from that initial conversation, but not all of it. So I'll get started with that first conversation and getting to know them better using a common method called Forward, the acronym Forward, right? So learning more about them, and then that All About You form, by the time we meet for the second time, I really have a lot of information. I know a lot about them. I know how to best serve them. I know how to best relate to them to gain their trust. And then, by the end of that second conversation, that pre-approval meeting is the second conversation, or it's a meeting, we're solid. They want to work with me.
So let's back up. So when do you send out that form? Like you have a conversation with the client, they fill out the application, you meet with them. Is that what that process looks like? Where in that process do you send it out, and how do you send it out? And how do you make sure that they fill it out, right? Because these are questions that some people might feel they're a little intrusive, so they might not fill it out. I'm just curious, like what's been your experience with sending it out and then getting them to fill out the form?
Yeah, great question. So some people are eager to fill it out because they love telling you about themselves, and others aren't, right? And so you got to have something in place to be able to capture as many of those All About You forms as possible. So number one, it's important to start gathering some of that information in the initial call verbally. Number two, the process. So my process, I'm the first person to talk to a new lead from a realtor partner, past client, business partner. And then the second step is for them to complete an application. Once the application's complete, then my teammate sends them a document request list. And in that document request list is the All About You form. And we show it as it's a required document. We need that document back for processing. Now, what happens sometimes, what was happening, is some people would complete some of it or half of it, right? And the goal is to get it mostly, if not all, completed. Right. One thing I've changed, or I'm about to change, I should say, is I'm going to do a video that's going to go out. That's going to encourage, when that document request list goes out, there's going to be a templated video that goes out about the document request list, and just reiterating the process, and then also a request to fill out the All About You form and why. And so we'll see if that helps to move the needle a little bit. But we are highly successful at getting completed. If we don't, I open up the pre-approval meeting. I don't open it up, but within 30 seconds, I'm bringing up some common interests that I've learned about them in some way relating to them, and I'll fill it in right there. I'll ask them, hey, thanks so much for filling out the All About You form. It helps me to get to know you better and how to better serve you. This is why asked for you to complete this form. I'm just missing a little bit of information. You got to have a favorite restaurant, right, Heath? What's your favorite place to eat, Heath? So there's a few stages there where I'm really completing the All About You form. And those are some strategies that I use to get them completed.
Cool. One thing that I heard you say is you're the first person to speak with every client. And I think that's amazing, being that you were number 20 out of 3,800 loan officers. It's not beneath you to have that first conversation with the client. I remember this, 3 or 4 years ago, you and I have a similar friend, Blaine Stewart, who changed that about me and my business, which I used to have somebody else take the loan application and I would talk to them at the appointment. But I think in this time, like in this super competitive time, being that person that the client talks to first is super important. So
without a doubt, I think first impressions is everything. And what am I best at? I'm not best at processing a loan. I'm not best at marketing an event. I'm not best at 80% of what happens with a client experience, I'm not best at. I have a teammate who's best at that for. But building that rapport and building the trust and showing competency and ability and securing that application, who does that best? I do it best, right? And so I'm the best person to do it from a skill set level, and also especially from business partners, I would expect them to talk to my referral first too, right? And so I know my business partners want me to be the primary point of contact.
Yeah, I love that. You're taking those skills that your dad taught you as a kid and bring them into your business, which I think will continue to make you top in not only industry or not only your company, but also in the industry to stay top of mind. I'm curious, what do you think are the 2 or 3 questions that are on that form that you never want to miss having them fill out, that you think is really important when you connect with them, but also is important in following up with them in the future? Like, what are those 2 or 3 things that you find most common that people are best to know about someone?
So I think so some of the information's redundant. I get some of the information on the application, like clients' birthdays. I think a favorite something favorite, right? So favorite beverage, favorite restaurant, favorite hobby, some type favorite sports team, something that's going to allow me to get a little creative with gifting, because we do a lot of gifting. And we want to be gifting something that's personal, right? That's the goal, is to find something personal to gift that's actually going to have an emotional impact. They're going to be grateful. They're going to be happy that they got it, right? Mm-hmm. And so I got to know a little bit about them to be able to give. So at least one thing that falls under that category, favorite, whatever it may be. And then that's probably one of those top 3. The other one is I really want to know about their professionals that they're working with and how they feel about them. I want to know at least their financial advisor, CPA, trust attorney, but really the financial advisor, CPAs are my 2 favorites. And if they're working with somebody who's a 5 and that's asked on the All About You form, I want an introduction. Right. Yeah. I want to know why they're a 5. I want to work with a 5-star CPA or financial advisor and work together. So, and if they don't give them a 5, then I want them to introduce to my 5-star financial advisor. Right. And so that way I'm adding some value above and beyond just providing a mortgage. So that's I'd say the second thing that matters a lot on that All About You form.
Yeah, I love that. You just having this conversation, you're re-inspiring me to start using the All About Me form. As a result of COVID, I stopped using it. Mm-hmm. And one question that most clients seemed to enjoy was, what's your dream vacation? And I stole this from Brendan Donaldson, my first coach in the business. And what we would do is, as soon as the clients used to come to my office, now it's all Zoom, but they would write in the dream vacation, and then we would order a travel book for their dream vacation. Oh, that's great. They would get it like 2 days later. So you've re-inspired me to start using that form again. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate it, because I'm going to add Dream Vacation to my All About You form because I don't have it. And that's a great idea. So I'm going to take your idea and implement that starting today.
Yeah, it's crazy how often someone, especially it's summertime, right? And they might be going on a dream vacation or coming back from one, or it just adds another level of rapport building with the client. So I love the acronym you used earlier today: Ford, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. I love that. Is that what you learned from your dad?
I think that was a sales skill that I learned early on in my career from some sales class that I took because I was. But I think my dad does that naturally, and I think part of me does that naturally as well. But I'm very intentional, so I get more information, I build more rapport, and I build more connection as a result.
Nice.
Because if, like, literally on my Monday on my calendar during my calls, my power hours, as you know, the Ford is, I'm reminded on my calendar, it says Ford. So just give me that reminder. So every time I'm making my calls, I'm using Ford as the conversation.
Yeah. So besides using the All About Me form, which I love, what's one or two other things that you either did last year or doing this year that's going to keep you number one in satisfaction with your clients in this changing market?
Gifting. I mean, I think everybody loves receiving gifts if they're good, right? Like if there's something that I hate, I personally don't like getting gifts I'm not going to use, right? I mean, I'll just discard them. But when somebody's thoughtful, or it's something that's universal that almost everybody's going to like, so we love to gift. We gift after the initial call. We send out a welcome package, and in that welcome package includes, meet the team, a little bit more about Roger, a little bit more about Fairway, stuff about this and that, stuff they do's and don'ts of the home buying process and stuff. But it also includes a gift. And it's just a small gift. I gift a gratitude journal. You can get them on Amazon for $5 or something, because I use one. So on a regular basis, I keep a gratitude journal where I write in it in the mornings and identify what I'm grateful for and what's coming ahead that I'm going to be grateful for. And there's even an evening wrap up, which I can't say I do as often, but that has had a big impact on my life. So I send it out to every single client, and in the inside cover, I talk just a brief little passage about how it's impacted my life and how I hope it'll impact theirs. Daily dose of gratitude goes a long way for your perspective. And it's my first gift in the process. So that's the first gift. Then at the pre-approval stage, once I meet with them on Zoom or what have you, I send another gift. That gift is a succulent and a candle, and then a little matchbox, and it says, "Life would suck," SUC, right? Succulent. Life would suck without a mortgage team like us.
I love that.
Yeah, and so that's the second gift. And then once they go under contract and they have their initial loan approval, I send them a box of really yummy cravery cookies, and there's a message in there that says, "Congratulations on your approval. You're one step closer to baking cookies in your new home." And then I gift them again for a closing gift, and it's a personalized closing gift based on that All About You form. Now, if you look at the budget on it, it's really minimal, right? I mean, I'm spending less than $100 on a client through the entire gifting process, or right around 120 maybe, but still, and they're getting hit with gifts that they're really enjoying, right? I mean, I get compliments all the time, feedback, and so they're thoughtful, they're cute, kind of, like they're neat, so gifting. If you're not gifting your clients at every opportunity that makes sense to gift them, then do it.
Yeah. So what I hear you saying is you send out the All About Me form, and then you send out a gift at application. It's the succulent. Is that right?
That's it. So after first call, everybody gets a gift.
Even they get the welcome gift.
Yeah, they get the welcome gift. And then at pre-approval, after the pre-approval meeting, once they've completed all their tasks, they're pre-approved, then they get a gift for the pre-approval meeting.
And I'm curious, what are the logistics of sending out the welcome pack? Like, one of the biggest issues that I have is, like, if it's too complicated to do, I'm probably not going to do it. So how complicated is it to put these gifts together and send it out? Do you use a service? What's the logistics there?
Well, I mean, I have a marketing/events coordinator. Well, she's also, I should say, marketing/events/gifter, gift coordinator. So she wears a few hats, but she prints packets, has packets on hand, has the gratitude journals in hand. So all she's doing is stick them in an envelope and mailing them out, every couple days. So it's pretty efficient. I mean, I don't think it takes her a ton of time. And then the same thing on the pre-approval gift, and then the cookies come directly from the company. and then she also sent out the closing gift. So delegating, that's it. Delegating.
Yeah. I'll put all that information in the show notes if you're kind enough to share. I'm sure you are, with being the number one show person, or number one in customer service. So, hey, I'm curious, like most people that excel, and you've obviously excelled in the mortgage business, somewhere in their life, they had a moment either in the business or early growing up where something shifted, like they went through a really difficult time, and now they're a changed person. I'm curious if you've had one of those in your life.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've had multiple.
Haven't we?
But I think that I think for me, oh gosh, I mean, I really can identify multiple ones right off the top of my head. Most recently was the birth of my 2-year-old son. Right, like that'll definitely get you motivated. Not that I wasn't before, but being a father to a young son, and then I also raised another son, and he was my why for many years. He's 26 now, and he's taking care of himself real well. But he was my why, and what really moved me. But I'd say, as far as an event is concerned, I mean, the 2008 crash, right?
Wow.
Like for me, most people around me were exiting the business. And I saw an 80% drop in my income overnight, right? I lost $30,000, $40,000 in my pipeline overnight. And then, went from, 350,000 to 60,000 in the next year, right? Like it was a significant drop off. And in the same year, I also was going through a divorce, and I was audited by the IRS. So I had like 3 of these major life events come at me, and it knocked me down for sure. It knocked me down. And so, sometimes those types of life events will knock you down and you're going to stay down, or they're going to motivate you to excel even greater and build something even greater, whether it be in your personal relationships or your business or your family, whatever it may be. And so it initially knocked me down, and I was down for a little bit. But ultimately, I rebounded, and I rebounded with a different perspective, not just from just a different perspective altogether. And so I think that was probably a turning point in my career. While I was successful before the crash, everybody was. And it was pretty easy pickings back then, right? Making money before the crash. And so pulling myself out of it and then rising to the top, I think that served as a lot of motivation. Yeah. And turning point in my life.
Yeah, I think that we could be at the precipice of something very similar to 2008. I don't think it's going to be anywhere. It's not going to have the magnitude that 2008 has, but it's definitely a slowdown. So it's good for people to hear, despite a divorce, despite substantial drop in income, despite being audited by the IRS, having the right mindset and like shifting the story about yourself and what's possible will allow you to get through those times. I'm curious, as we start to wrap up, do you have a favorite book or a favorite quote that you go to from time to time that keeps that perspective in balance for you?
So I definitely have lots of favorite quotes and favorite books, but I think the most pertinent book is a book that I'm in the midst of reading now. It was assigned by my coach. And by the way, if you're not in some sort of coaching program, highly recommend it. That's definitely elevated my game to a level I never would be at otherwise. No matter the coaching program, get a coach. But nonetheless, the book I'm currently assigned to read is Never Lose a Customer Again by Joey Coleman. And basically teaching how to turn any sale into lifelong loyalty over a 100-day period. But point being is with the number of leads down, right? It's got to be down for everybody, right? Because the number of buyers are down. It's converting those buyers are so important, right? I mean, my conversion ratio needs to be much higher than it has been over the last couple of years. Even though that was good, it needs to be better. And I need more leads too, but I need to convert the ones I have better. And so, again, just that focus on the client experience from start to finish, and there is no finish really, because you want to continue to develop that relationship. But from start and never losing a customer, again, sounds like a great topic. So that's what I recommend at this point. Take a look at.
Yeah, I love that. And if our listeners want to get a hold of you, if they have questions about anything we talked about today, what's the best way for them to do that?
Email roger.kube, that's roger.kube @fairwaymc.com.
Nice. Well, I'll put that in the show notes. And, I want to acknowledge you, Roger, for doing what you've done in the business is remarkable. Being number 20 at Fairway, and not only being number 20, but being number one out of 3,800 loan officers, it's saying that you're doing something right. So I appreciate you being on the show today, and I appreciate your friendship, Roger.
Yeah, thank you so much, Heath. Appreciate you. Appreciate our friendship and the opportunity to come on the chat with you today.
Totally. Thanks for listening to the podcast today. I'll drop in the show notes Roger's All About Me forum, his gifting, the specific gifts he gives to the clients and when he gives them to the clients. What a fantastic episode. I'll also leave Roger's information in the show notes as well. I hope you enjoy.
Thank you for listening today. Hopefully this discussion inspires you by providing new tools to shape your business so you can become a more innovative and cutting-edge professional in the mortgage space. Join Heath in more conversations with the industry's top leaders by subscribing to the podcast at www.heathbarnes.com. That's www.heathbarnes.com.